Today we're tasting a really very lovely wine. I think I say that all the time, but that's obviously because we only sell very lovely wine. Back in 2005, it really was only very few months after Green and Blue had been open, a man came into the shop one Saturday and spoke to Jude and told him that he was a winemaker in southern France and that he would like to send us some samples of what he did. This is actually not a terribly unusual occurrence when you own a wine business, and mostly the samples are not great, to be honest. We actually always feel a bit depressed when people come in and say that, because particularly if they're really lovely people, it's then a bit awkward when you have to explain that you don't really want to list their wines. So we kind of feared the worst, but samples were duly sent and we tasted them and they were absolutely fantastic. The man in question was a gentleman called Paul Old, who used to be a ballet dancer with Ballet Rambert, had a very successful career as a dancer, but when that was coming to an end, decided, slightly strangely, as you don't often connect ballet and wine, that he really wanted to be a winemaker. He went into partnership with a gentleman called Hugo Strang, who had been a farmer in Wiltshire in the UK, and they set up a winery and bought and leased some vineyards down in Corbieres in the Languedoc in France. They have done everything exactly right and exactly to the kind of specifications that Green and Blue believe in most. They've always sought out much older vineyards. They've worked completely naturally from the start, and now all the vineyards are being run along biodynamic lines. And the winery is, well, it's completely tiny, and literally everything is done by hand. They make a range of wines now, mostly red, but some incredible whites as well. The one that we're going to talk about today is certainly in the kind of value for money stakes, completely incredible. The Clos Perdus, which is the name of their winery, Le Rouge, is a very new addition to the portfolio. They've only introduced this in the last 2 years, I think it is, because they felt that they did need a more entry-level wine. But trust me, for entry-level, this is truly amazing stuff. Entry-level compared to the rest of their wines, I should hasten to add. This is 100% Grenache, which also is a very good thing in my book, because that really is one of my most favourite grape varieties. It's a tricky grape variety because if you don't grow it really, really well, then you do end up with something that's really wishy-washy and lacking in structure. Because it has quite a long growing season, it often gets very high in alcohol and has a really overtly sweet flavour, sweet raspberry. So again, if you're not growing properly, and particularly often if you're irrigating your vines, you're going to end up with something very confected and unpleasant. If you don't irrigate though, and you grow very naturally, it is superlative. There is a sweetness to it, and a fantastic sweet spice. I always get kind of cloves and dried orange peel. You can see from this colour that this is not one of the really pathetic, insipid versions of Grenache. There's lots of intensity here. And on the nose, that sweet orange peel, raspberry, clove comes through really well. That's absolutely beautiful. It's not a chunky Grenache. Grenache is rarely chunky, but there are instances, particularly versions from Châteauneuf-du-Pape, that can have quite a lot of structure. This doesn't have a lot of structure. It's not totally soft. There's a very slight kind of velvety feel on the tongue, But on the whole, it slips down really easily. The lovely sweet fruit and sweet spice though is balanced by good acidity, and you can taste that it's really pure. It's been made without intervention. Really, this could not be more handmade. They have a basket press in the winery that Paul literally does by hand. So everything here is done to a very, very high specification. And the results are quite delicious. So I would recommend this highly for red wine that you want to chill very slightly in summer, or red wine that you want to drink other times of the year when you just don't feel in the mood for something that's too intense and too kind of rich. Very good with game, duck, even very meaty fish.